Hi there everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary from Mary Matthews Handmade, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make these super cute and easy little granny stars. So I absolutely love making these little granny stars. They are so quick and easy to make up. You can make them in all sorts of yarns, all sorts of colours. I very often use mine as gift tags just by adding a little bit of string or maybe ribbon there. You can also, if you turn that into a loop, you can hang them from a Christmas tree, so make them in festive colours, or you can, if you make quite a few, you could string them all together on a piece of yarn, maybe make them in nursery colours for a baby's nursery, football colours, red, white and blue, again festive colours. You can size them up by using 2 strands of yarn at once and then just go up a hook size. I also like making mine in cotton. I've used 2 strands of an Aran weight cotton here, so it makes it quite a nice chunky effect, and I tend to use mine as coasters. You could also, maybe as a small gift for somebody, you could add, look, a little candle there, very inexpensive candle in a glass holder. I've just tied a little bit of this Hessian ribbon round, teamed it with a coaster, and you've got a nice little gift. And then also a last example here for you. I've actually used 3 strands of just different yarns that I had left over. So I've got one of those baby blanket. It's actually a James C. Brett Flutterby. I've added a cotton and an acrylic DK weight, and that makes quite a nice large coaster as well. These are ideal for putting on your mantelpiece or on your windowsill, and then if you want to put a vase on top, it just protects the paintwork underneath. With the smaller ones, just a final note, you could use these as an appliqué. You could add these to a bag, or maybe those fabric bins that everybody is making at the moment. If you use these stitches around the outside to just sew over and over round, these could make a nice little applique as well. So anyway, let's get going. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using a DK weight yarn. This one is a Starcraft Special DK, and the shade of this one is this lovely Storm Blue. I'm also going to show you using a 4.5mm hook. Normally I will use a 4mm hook for this weight yarn, but just so that it makes the stitches look slightly larger, I'm going to go up to a 4.5. You'll also need some scissors for your yarn and a darning needle to sew in your ends. So if I just show you, these granny stars are made up of 3 rounds. So this is the first round here. So we've got 1, 2, and then our final round is making these spikes around here that turns it into a star. So to start off with, we need to make this centre round here. So I'm going to start off by putting a slip knot on my hook. You can do this however you normally do, but I tend to wrap my yarn around those 2 fingers, pull it across, go under with my hook and grab that yarn, pull it through, take out my fingers, and then I just pull that tight on my hook. So we're going to start with round 1. We're going to do a chain of 6. So let's just grab the yarn, pull it through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then what we want to do, and we need to make this into a loop. So you're going to find the chain that you did first, which will be the farthest from your hook. Then what you're going to do is push through, grab the yarn, pull it through that loop, and the one that's on your hook, and then you have joined to make this nice centre circle. So round one, we are going to work in that centre circle. So I'm going to work over that end. Keep hold of the centre for the moment. We're going to do a chain up of 3. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Now that chain of 3 is going to count as 1 treble. If you use US terminology, that's 1 double. Okay, and then we're going to do 2 further trebles through this centre hole. So it's yarn over, push through, grab the yarn, pull it through, so I have 3 loops on my hook. Grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So I have in effect now got 2 trebles. So I'm going to do another one, so it's yarn over, push through that centre, grab the yarn, pull it through, so I have 1, 2, 3 loops on my hook, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through 2. So I've now got a cluster of 3 trebles. So if I just show you again, this first round will be made up of 5 of these clusters of 3, and then you're going to have 5 corners as well. So we have made 1 cluster of 3, we need to do a corner. So each corner is just going to be a chain of 2. 1, 2. Okay, then I'm still working over my end at the back. I'm going to do another cluster of 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so you may need to shuffle your stitches around that centre circle. So we're going to have another corner, which is a chain of 2, and another cluster of 3. 1, 2 and 3. Then we need another corner, so that's just chain 2, another cluster of 3. 1, 2 and 3. Oh, I've got a bit of a hair there caught. It's mine, it's fine. So we have so far 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need another corner, and then we need our final cluster of 3. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Now, before we join this round, we need to make sure we do our chain of 2, and then we're going to join. So where we had our original 1, 2 chain of 3, we are going to join in that top stitch. So I'm just going to push the hook through, pull it through that loop, and pull it through the loop that is on your hook, and then we have joined. Now before we go any further, we want to tighten this centre up, so I tend to take my hook out, and then you can just pull on that original tail. Just pull it, pull, 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 give it a good tug, and then you have tightened the centre up. Now we can make that even smaller later when we sew in this end. So for now I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm going to put my hook back in. Now for round 2 we're going to be starting in this space here. Okay, so we need to slip stitch across. So we have these 2 trebles from the round before. We're going to do a slip stitch through those V's, so the top of the stitches. So you're going to push your hook through, grab the yarn and pull it through that V and the one that's on your hook, and then we're going to do it again at the top of this treble. Push your hook through, grab the yarn, pull it through and the one that's on your hook. So we have slip stitched across. We need to then do another slip stitch in this space. So push your hook through, grab that yarn, pull it through and the one that's on your hook. And we are ready now to do round 2. So again, we're going to do a chain 3 up, and that is going to count as 1 treble. So we're going to do 2 more trebles to make a cluster. 1, 2. Okay, so we've made another cluster of 3 trebles. Now we need to make a corner, so that's chain 2. And then in this space here, we're going to do another cluster of 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now with the same as the granny squares, we're now going along the side. So I want you to do a chain of 1 just to help get us along that side. And then in here, we are going to do a cluster of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to make a corner, which is chain 2. And in that space, another cluster of 3. You're getting the hang of this now. 2 and 3. So then again, we're going to go along the side to get to this space here. So we need to do a chain of 1. So I'm going to show you this corner again, and then I'll let you go round this round. So we're going to move over here. We're going to do a cluster of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, my yarn's getting caught up. Let me just pull some more yarn. Then we need to do a corner, which you know now is a chain of 2. In the same space, we're going to do a cluster of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then because we're going along the side to get to this space here, we're going to do a chain 1. So what I want you to do in this space here, you're going to do a cluster of 3, chain 2 for the corner, a cluster of 3. Turn your work, make sure you do your chain 1, and then go to this space here and do exactly the same, and then I will meet you at the end. So I have gone all the way round. I've done my final cluster of 3. Before we join again, make sure you're doing that chain of 1. Okay, because we're still going along the side. And then we're going to join in the same way as we did in round 1. We're going to count our chains 1, 2, and 3 up. And we're going to do a slip stitch in the top of that stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it through, and the one that's on your hook. And there we have finished our round 2. Again, in round 3, we're going to be starting in this space. So we need to slip stitch across. So you're going to find those V's at the top of these trebles from the round before. And we're going to slip stitch in them both to get ourselves across. And the top of that one. And then we are going to slip stitch into this space here. So push through, grab the yarn and pull it through the one that is on your hook. So here we go with round 3. We're going to chain 3. As always, that's counting as one treble, and we're going to do another 2 trebles in this space. So 1 and 2, and then you're going to want to cinch that down so you've made a cluster of 3. We're going to do a corner, that's a chain 2, and then another cluster of 3 in that same space. So that's 2 and 3. Now here's how it is different. So what we want to do is we want to make these spikes around here. So we're going to do this bit here in this next space, but because we are going across and along the side, make sure we do our chain 1, and then in this space here we are just going to do 1 double crochet. Now if you use US terminology, that's 1 single, and that has brought this spike down. We're still going across, so we're going to do a chain of 1, and then in this next space here we are going to do our cluster of 3. So that's a cluster of 3 trebles or doubles if you're using US terminology. And then we're going to do a corner, so that's a chain of 2, and then another cluster of 3 in that same space, and 3. So we're going along the side, so chain 1. In this next space here, we're going to do just 1 double. Still going along, so chain 1, and then in your next space, you're going to do a cluster of 3. 1, 2, and 3. And you've guessed it, we're going to do a chain 2 for the corner, and then another cluster of 3 in that same space, and 3. Okay, so we're going along the side, chain 1. In this space, we're going to do 1 double crochet. Still going along the side, so we're going to do a chain 1, and then in this space here we're going to do a cluster of 3. You're going to have to excuse any noise from downstairs. My partner's working down there today. So we've done, our cluster of 3, a chain 2 for the corner, and another cluster of 3. You're going to get so addicted to making these stars. They are just so fabulously easy to make. Once you've done 1 or 2, you'll be able to do it without watching this video at all. So we're going along the side, so it's chain 1, and then it's 1 double crochet in that next space, chain 1, and then in this one here we're going to do our final cluster of 3, corner and cluster of 3. So in effect we're now doing our final spike of our star. Again, I'm going to have to grab some more yarn, it tends to stick. So I've done a cluster of 3, chain 2 for the corner and another cluster of 3. So that is the final spike. Then we are still going to go along the side. So we need to do a chain 1. Do 1 double crochet in that next space and another chain 1 before we join, and then we're going to join as we did before. So we have 1, 2, 3 chains up. I'm going to do a slip stitch in the top of that chain. And then what I just like to do, just to make it a little bit more secure, I go to the top of the treble to the left and I do another slip stitch. So I'm going to pull it through and the one that's on your hook, and then I'm going to do chain 1. I'm going to then cut my yarn, pull it through, and then cinch that knot down as well as I can. And there you have it. You have, oops, my crochet hook is alive. There you have it. You have your first granny star. So now all we need to do is to weave in our ends. If I show you this one first, using my darning needle. There we go. So what I'm going to do is sort of like look down on those V's, and I'm just going to take my yarn through to the back. So if you pull it through and then sort of like pull down on there, and you won't see that knot so much. So then I tend to hide my ends by weaving to and fro using the back of my stitches. So I like to go to and fro at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So you're just literally using the back of those, that end's getting in the way. You're just literally using the back of those stitches. So if I just go one more, go right around there. Okay. And then you're going to cut your yarn as close to your work as you can, but make sure you're not cutting your work. There you go. So with this end here, give it another tug, but because we worked over this end at the start, all I'm going to do is just weave my end back the other way, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. So there we have it, our granny star. Now what I'm now going to show you, I'm going to take this to my ironing board and I'm going to show you how I block my stars. Now I do this because I find it just helps them keep their shape for a lot longer. Okay, you don't have to do that, but I just like the way that it helps them keep their shape. So I'll meet you at my ironing board. So what I do now is what they call blocking out. So I use my ironing board. People do have blocking pads that you can buy in craft stores, but I just use my ironing board. I've got some just normal dressmaker's pins. And then what I do is I just tend to stretch out my shape. So you can do this with your granny squares, whatever you're doing that you want it to keep its shape. You will need to have an iron with a steam setting. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that shape. Now you can now spray this with water, or I do actually use, I'm giving it a shake, just a spray starch, just a little blast. Okay, and then this is acrylic wool, so be very careful when you use your iron that you don't actually touch the yarn and don't touch the pins either. So I'm just going to hover my iron over top of my shape, and then I'm just giving it a good blast of steam. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now is just wait for that to dry, and then it will have kept its lovely star shape. So there you have them, a cute and simple little project for you to have a go at. Let me know how you get on. Please do leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And I will see you here for another tutorial next time. Bye bye for now.